Hello and welcome back. I'm sorry for the lack of content lately. For at least more than a month. I'm not entirely sure, but there's like two reasons for this. I've been busy with school as well as just losing motivation to do anything in general. Anyway, so here is the Druid Origin that I'm about to show you. I hope you enjoy. So this origin is what I consider to be item lock. By definition, item lock in terms of when it comes to this origin is your positive is only available when you have the items that it needed. So in this case, it needed the trinket just to access its pros. And yes, so I'm gonna discuss about what each of these trinket does. And this is the powered version of each of the trinket. And they have their own little story around them. So if you have time to read or if you're like interested in that thing, you can just read it. So anyway, so let's start with the Trinket of the Feathers. So once pressing your right click, you will be able to see slightly better in the dark, and you can see entities that are moving within range. You also gain wings. You also gain wings, and when you press your primary key while gliding, you can boost yourself, allowing you to fly long distances. And the next one is that basically what this trinket does, and you use your primary key to fly. So the trinket of the travel. Trinket of the travel will allow you to let's basically move faster. Sorry, I forgot the word. And you also take 80% less from fall damage. So let me just climb up this mountain. So if I fall from this height, I should not take any heart of damage. I did just half a heart. That's fine. And when you press your primary key as the Trinket of the Travel is active, you actually gain a traveling storage. This allows you to basically store your items, and when you die, you actually won't drop the items. I got the item. Let's see. So the next one is the Trinket of the Sea. So based on the last two ability that I've shown you, the Trinket of the Sea functions relatively the same way. So when used, you can see entities that are on the water, and you can breathe indefinitely in underwater. Also, you move relatively faster, and you can see better and break blocks normally as if you were on land. So that's basically it for the Trinket of the Sea. They don't have any power outside of water, so just keep that in mind. And Trinket of the Treasure. This one is a little bit of you, I might add. Out of all these out of these four trinkets, only the Trinket of the Treasure actually has a negative. Ooh. So, but ultimately its positive drags out the negative, so it's all balanced out fairly really well. So if I use this item, I gain infinite blindness, but I can break blocks that normally require a pickaxe, and I can break them fast as well too, so it's nice. And yes, this also works with ores, so which is kind of cool. That's basically what they all can do. One more thing, yes. You can also see dropped items. So it's good for if you happen to get yourself killed and you don't know where your items are. So, yeah. Oh, and one more thing that I'm gonna show in the next segment. The trinket, each of the trinket has their own unique little passive that I will be discussing later on. So if you have any of the trinket active, or basically their mini passive is they're immune to certain effects. So if you have the Trinket of the Freedom, you're immune to levitation. So let me just properly. Yeah, there we go. And as well as blindness. But if you have the Trinket of the Travel active, you lose the immunity to that effect, but you're immune to slowness and as well as weakness. And if you have the Trinket of the Sea, you're just actually immune to fire. So keep that in mind. And yes. Okay. So if you have the Trinket of the Treasure active, you're immune to mining fatigue, as well as hunger. And here's an interesting thing. If you went from treasure and you're gonna switch into the Trinket of the Freedom, you can instantly remove the blindness effect caused by the treasure. So yep, we are at our very last segment for this origin. So now we have seen any of this thing. So what this thing does is, let's see. So how would you craft them? You say, well, here's it's where it gets a little bit difficult for this origin, and at first glance, this origin doesn't have a negative per se, except for the fact that you have to craft any of this. So how do you craft them? Well, it's on this chest. So what you need is empty trinket. So in order to go for the Trinket of the Travel, you need 6 grass, and this will give you the weaker version of the trinket. And you will need 12 sweet berries to craft the strong version of the trinket. And this works for any of the trinket that you can use. So how do you get the trinket? Basically, you need a lot of logs, preferably more than 6. So yeah, so more than 6, and also an axe. So in order to craft this item, you need these 2 items. Like any logs would work. So if I pick this up and right click on the log, oh right, yeah, I can't do it on creative mode, my bad. So let's do it again. So if we right click on the item, it will give you one of them, one empty trinket. So keep that in mind. You're gonna need a lot of logs because you actually need 3 empty trinket for this to work. So if I get, let's say, I'm gonna get this one, and I'm gonna start with the grass. So if I have the empty trinkets here, and I right click it with the grass, it'll turn into the Trinket of the Travel Week, and this works for any of them. So keep this in mind. This is like the essential recipe that it has. And if you don't want to go back to this video, which I completely understand, you can press your save up tool key to get a book. This book has the lore in it, so if you don't want to read through that, it's on page 2, and you only need to care for the name of the item you want to craft, as well as the green part is what you need to craft them. So Trinket of the Freedom, it's all here. Yes, it's filled with lore. I honestly don't know why I decided to put story in this book, but let it be as it may. So yes. Oh yeah, one more thing. This is a neutral part for the origin. Due to your constant travel kind of ways, food that requires time to be prepared, such as cooked meal, will actually restore less than the raw versions of themselves. So keep that in mind. And oh yeah, one more thing. Very last one thing. This actually ability works on items that you can just naturally find in the natural world. So raw versions, apple, carrots, potatoes, all that stuff works just as fine. So that's it for this origin basically. So see ya.